What up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I am Roxora, and we do everything Magic the Gathering, and in this case, Magic Arena content-wise on this channel. Today we have a deck tech, our first deck tech of the Alchemy format. I've done, oh, sorry, not our first deck tech. I'm sorry, we did one, but this is our first one with a real sideboard, and we're going to take this into the best of 3 queue. And really, I think the first deck that has been, I think one of the core archetypes of the format at the moment. That could change, obviously. And that is the Boros Dragons deck. There are a couple of cards from here that are some pretty good new dragons that were put in. We have Fearsome Whelp, which is 2 mana for a 1/1 flying. And when you go to your end step, it makes all of your dragons perpetually cost 1 less. So this can be just a really powerful play on turn 2. Just reduce, a few of your dragons. If you have 2 dragons in hand when you do this, it's already great at any more, and it's just insane. And as you'll see, we can cast a lot of really powerful dragons for very cheap in this deck. So that's going to be really, really good. The other kind of really powerful card that has surfaced is Townraiser Tyrant, which is 2 and 2 red, so 4 mana for a 4/4 with flying. So already that's like kind of fine. We've seen other 4/4 flyings like Moonveil Region and Goldspan Dragon do well, but when it enters the battlefield, target land you don't control loses all abilities except mana abilities and gains at the beginning of your upkeep. This permanent deals 2 damage to you unless you sacrifice it. So this is, a really great card against a lot of the creature lands in the format, like Den of the Bugbear and Cave of the Frost Dragon, and Hall of the Storm Giant and things like that. It just turns those off and any other kind of utility lands that might exist. Then it goes even worse where, even if you target that, or if you just target, any land, now all of a sudden your opponent has to choose between taking damage or losing a land, which is very, very powerful, especially when you put it on this 4/4 that's just going to be attacking them. So it's a lot of pressure on the opponent, both damage-wise and mana-wise. If they sack that land, that could prevent them from casting spells in the long term, and that's going to be really powerful when you have this 4/4 beating you down. The other arena, exclusive, newer card is Divine Purge, which is 1 white, so 3 mana for a sorcery that says exile all artifacts and creatures with mana value 3 or less. They perpetually gain. This spell costs 2 more to cast, and this permanent enters tapped, and then your opponent can play them for as long as they are exiled. So essentially, this is a wrath, but a wrath effect, but more of a delay. And it only targets things that cost 3 or less. So as you can see, there are a few things in this deck that will get hit, but there are also a lot of things that will not, and that's particularly powerful when we are casting very, very expensive cards like Goldspan Dragon and Adult Gold Dragon that will help us just win the game very quickly. So getting rid of a lot of small creatures, making sure that we don't die, and then just beating our opponent down with lots and lots of dragons. As for the dragon cards in our deck, we've got Moonveil Regent, which can be a good source of card advantage, just discarding and drawing lots of cards. Goldspan Dragon, which is nerfed but is still powerful. It makes mana, hey, mana is good. Adult Gold Dragon, being a flying lifelink with haste, can just beat down and is just powerful, especially when up against decks that are trying to attack you and threaten your life total. And then we also have a single Villamachus Lorehold. It is a little bit expensive, but again, we can reduce it with Fearsome Whelp, and if we ever cast it, can guarantee the cast of a lot of good spells in this deck. It can be a Valorous Stance, it can be a Divine Purge, and it can also be a Dragon's Fire, all of which are some nice hits off of the card. It can also hit Shatter Skull Smashing, but we get a choice, so we don't have to cast it, right? We can cast it. If we get it along with one of these other cards, just don't cast it. Yeah, Valor Stance, giving indestructible or destroying a creature can be very nice. Shadow Skull Smashing adds additional lands and removal. And then for Orb of Dragonkind, just being a good, active, proactive turn 2 play to ramp us to our 4 and 5 drops, and then can also later on be a source of card advantage. In the land base, we have the Temple of the Dragon Queen, as well as 2 creature lands, but otherwise, nothing to stand out from the rest of the deck. In general, it's got a straightforward game plan. Play well, reduce your dragons, make sure you don't die, and then just cast a lot of dragons for cheap and win the game. We also have a sideboard over here. We got some Flameless Bolts for removal, Lantern Flame if we really need to, get rid of, maybe, some creatures while gaining life. Another Valor Stance, some Brutal Cathars for maybe some larger creatures. Draconic Intervention for another Wrath. We've got some Brittle Blasts for, if our opponent is using a lot of death triggers. There's a lot of aristocracy kind of strategies in the format. And then we also have these Conductive Currents, which I'm actually pretty interested to see how they are. There's another digital only card. Deals 3 damage to each creature, so kind of like an Anger of the Gods. But on resolution, you choose an instant or sorcery in your hand, and it gains, if the spell would deal non-combat damage to a creature, or permanent or player, it deals damage, that much damage plus 2. So it just makes a damaging spell deal 2 more. So this, just on its face value, can apply to another conductive current. You can kind of see from the image of the card, it's kind of flavorful, where you are, casting it, and then the next conductive current, in your hand, deals 2 additional damage, so it deals 5 damage. 3 mana for 5 damage to everything is pretty good. And then otherwise, you have Dragon's Fire and Shadow Skull Smashing in the main deck here. Also if you end up bringing, Flameless Bolt or whatnot. But Shadow Skull Smashing, I feel like, was the other card that I was really interested in, where, on turn 3, you can cast this, kill some creatures, target the Shadow Skull Smashing in your hand with the Perpetual effect. And then on turn 4, if your opponent plays 2 more creatures, you can cast the Shadow Skull Smashing for X equals 2. And when you target 2 creatures to deal 1 damage, they will instead deal 3 damage because of Conductive Currents effect. So that's kind of a spicy interaction that I saw just without playing the deck. I haven't played this deck at all yet. Haven't played a single game. We've also got some Inferno Titans here in for some control decks or just for another hasty threat. I kind of like this being in the sideboard. I've seen some lists with like a single one in the main. I think I prefer the Velomachus Lorehold for now. But that's the deck. We're going to do at least 1 match with it. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, excited to, dive into the rank ladder here and see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to do ranked best of 3 alchemy. And we're going to do Boros Dragons. Bam, bam, wabam. All right. First match, here we go. All right, so our starting hand here is, not, like super flashy, you might say. We don't have our Fearsome Whelp, but we still got a pretty good hand here. Okay, so I'm going to play this card. I'm going to play this card on turn 2. It was pretty good. I think we'll play this on white. Oh, this could be a counter spell, but I feel like it's too good to pass up, right? I feel like I'm just slamming it. I feel like this deck just wants to slam. It's going to be a removal spell. Yep. Yeah, Spikefield Hazards is a really good card to have against Fearsome Whelp. That's when I'm playing the blue decks. Like that's what I want to be doing. So I think I'm playing this revealing Town Razor because that's. I think I'm feeling Moonveil, and naming red, casting the orb, and probably just passing. Yeah, man, this is sad. All right, we still get to play like a good card on turn 4, but we're like kind of behind now, I feel like. I'm just gonna slam Town Razor. Again, our opponent can have some counter spells here, but like unexpected windfall. Oh, this is okay. All right, so this is another, you know, the Hullbreaker Horror or, you know, Lear deck. So this is kind of a good test. It's kind of like two really powerful cards. So they're choosing to take 2 damage from the Town Razor affected land. Yeah, I was gonna say. So I guess actually this is a good opportunity to do this, right? Yeah, I think I do want to just... And I can also respond if they have... Okay, this is actually kind of okay. And then I can hold up Dragon's Fire if they play another... Maybe I should have done Dragon's Fire. This is kind of close. Yeah, so this is a good play that they're making. They're tapping the land in response to the trigger and using it, and then most likely they're going to sacrifice it. If they're making this play, yeah. So that makes sense. Good play from our opponent. All right, Expressive Iteration, powerful spell. Okay, so our opponent getting some card selection here. Digging through their deck. We're probably just going to jam Moonveil Regent. I would love to draw a land, I want to say. Oh, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, okay. Land is good because it allows us to... I guess this is... Yeah, so I think I'm okay with this because I don't think I'm casting Dragon's Fire this turn, and I might want to consider... Now that I have so much mana, maybe I just sack this to find a dragon and get some card advantage. So probably if I were my opponent here, I'd be trying to cast Burn Down the House. That's like the card that I would want to play here. Wow, no cards. That's actually kind of okay because a lot of those cards were pretty bad. Yeah, I was about to say Hullbreaker Horror. Pretty spooky. And then they get to cast a 1 mana spell and then bounce something. They bounce Town Razor Tyrant. Yeah, okay. Oh, man. I think our best play here is to just Whelp and bop our opponent in the face. Our cards are going to get 1 cheaper. It's also possible that, like, Velomachus Lorehold, we can cast that next turn, and I think I'm just not blocking. I feel like this Whelp is going to provide me too much value. But, yeah, they probably have a couple of spells here. Oh, that's the worst. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, so they just get to bounce both of my stuff. This is fine, right? So, like, if they go to cast this, then I Dragon's Fire and reveal a dragon card, cast this, reveal the Moonveil Regent that they know about. I mean, it doesn't really matter whether it's one of these. Yeah, so they do that, and then they bounce my spell, which you might say, okay, that's not great that they have a Leer, but actually, if I can... I was going to say, if I can draw land, play Velomachus Lorehold, and... Isn't that just lethal? Oh, that's just lethal. Decline, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was just lethal. Cool. Gotta love that. Okay. Didn't expect that. So, I think Valor Stand seems really good against them, right? So that seems to be a good card here. I think Inferno Titan, even though like it's not like they're not countering anything because they have Leer in their deck, they most likely don't have counters. That's a really important thing to note about Leer, is that, you know, since it says spells can't be countered, it's gonna gonna stop that. I think we just take out all of our Divine Purges, because that card is going to do nothing. This card can't go, like, none of these cards can go face, so, and I don't think we want intervention, so I might just take some Brutal Cathars and put him in here. I think Dragon's Fire was fine. But yeah, maybe just shave it. We just shove one Brutal Cathar in here and maybe it does something. I don't know what else I would put. Like, this is, you know, not a card that I'm interested in. So yeah, I think we're good with this. Yeah, and just, you know, even though this can get bounced by Hullbreaker Horror, you know, hopefully by, you know, we're just slamming that early and attacking with it and get our beats on. Yeah, Velomachus Lorehold being 5 power and attacking, you know, won us the game there. Or 5 power and, you know, attacking with haste. So we're on the draw here. I'm gonna keep this. We can draw some dragons for our whelp. I think I'm I think I'm just playing this as a land. Yeah. Passing. Alright, here's Whelp. Okay, they have Jawari Disruption. Unfortunate. I think there's much I can do. Yeah, I would have played this Shadow Skull Smashing tapped. I feel like at least one of these is going to be on land. And I guess we'll just jam Regent. So yeah, they've had the answer to Whelp both times, and that's okay. Alright, let's just jam the Regent. I'm not going to play around a second Jawari Disruption. Like, yeah, this is fine. This could be a good time for them to play Lear, right? They play Lear and then they have Galazeth Prismari, you say? Wow. That's a spicy one. I don't think I've seen that in a lot of decks. I think objective number one, or number one is Valorous Stance the Prismari. I don't think we're gonna discard our entire hand to draw a card. That's actually fine, right? Because we do that, and then we Whelp, and then we play Shadow Skull Smashing. And then now it discounts 2 spells instead of 1. Haha, got him. Alright, so they are forced to Spikefield Hazard. It's actually kind of good for them, because they have the teachings. Yeah, that was a good play for them. That was a good sequence. Ooh, that's a nice one. So I think I'm playing this, revealing... I want to say this. Yeah. And we'll just do... Let's do white. Yeah. Let's just get our beats on. We'll activate it once because, again, we're not doing anything with this 1 mana. And, you know, us tapping out is not relevant here. So far they haven't been able to deal with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we top deck a land, that would be really funny. I don't think I'm going for this, though. I'm going to play the land, but I think my objective here is cast a adult Goldspan Dragon. Yeah. And just go off of that. Sure. So they're gonna cast something to bounce the Inferno, and then I'm gonna probably Valorous Stance the Hullbreaker Horror. Nice. That's really big. So, like, wait, they bounced? They bounced? The adult gold dragon. They want to stop me from... Why did they do that? This doesn't have hexproof. That's strange. Also note that perpetually still applies here. Like these both, sorry, this and this are still discounted. So that's really nice. Okay. So what's my play here? I'm gonna Inferno. I guess to be safe, this doesn't change the clock. I'm gonna Goldspan Dragon, Dragon's Fire. Just choose a dragon. Yeah, do this and attack. Yeah. So this kind of makes it like nearly impossible for them to kill me, and there we go. All right. That was a pretty successful match, I'd say. So yeah, so we played probably the other, what would be considered the other meta deck in the format. There's a lot of flavors of both of these decks, which I think is, again, both this and that other list aside is great for the format. That's a good sign, is when you have a lot of similar archetypes that have a lot of slightly different builds. There's a Boros build of this deck. There's a straight mono-red version. I've seen some red-black lists running around. There's some blue-red lists running around. All of them run the same core cards of, Dragon Whelp, Moonveil Regent, Townraiser Tyrant, Goldspan Dragon. Orb of Dragonkind, I guess, you can throw that in there. But then, they complement those things with a different collection of cards that I think is pretty cool. And same thing for the Hullbreaker Horror, Lear, kind of blue-red tempo style of decks. Some are more focused on the Hullbreaker Horror being more heavy control or heavy tempo control, as opposed to, if you're running three to, or 2 to 3 copies of Lear, you're a little bit more focused on playing Lear and playing a grindier game. And then, some of these decks throw Alrund's Epiphany into the mix, as we saw with, I think, the deck that I played last. So the matchup was really good, especially considering that our best card, Fearsome Whelp, was answered quite frequently. We played against a very smart player there, where they knew about our deck, as soon as we played Fearsome Whelp, and knew that it needed to be answered right away. If you let this card stick around, it's gonna just go nuts. But even with that, we were still able to, ramp a little bit with Orb of Dragonkind. Orb of Dragonkind kind of acting like a backup plan to the Fearsome Whelp, where it still accelerates you into your threats. And then we saw Townraiser Tyrant doing a really good job there of taxing our opponent's mana. Moonveil Regent, didn't draw us any cards there, but was there in case we needed to. And then, Adult Gold Dragon is here for the aggro matchups, but we saw in that matchup where just having flying and haste was good enough. Obviously the lifelink part, could have been irrelevant in that scenario where they cast Mascot Exhibition, but overall, it's a very versatile card here. Velomach's Lorehold not really doing its thing in this matchup. Again, a lot of it is for the spells in this deck are for the creature matchups. But it did actually win us the game there just by being a 5-powered flyer with haste. That was kind of funny. And I felt that the sideboard is again still more geared towards creature decks. Maybe there should be something else. I feel like this Draconic Intervention is not really needed. I feel like we have so many board and things to interact with the board that I'm not really worried about it. So maybe this could be a more value oriented card. Something that just kind of puts pressure on our opponent early into the game. You have Rada or something like that. But anyways, the matchup definitely felt fun. Both of us, both decks doing, I feel like equally powerful things. Right, Fearsome Whelp, is, and Townraiser Tyrant can pressure our opponent very early and can Goldspin Dragon can help us accelerate our game plan. So like this deck can be, can feel as powerful as this deck that's existed for a while. The Hullbreaker Horror, control deck, whatever you want to call it. And it went toe to toe, and so a lot of that is because of the power level of Fearsome Whelp and Town Razor Tyrant. I feel like this deck would not be good if it was not. And so, say what you will about Alchemy, it's definitely done a good job of bringing some of these other archetypes into the forefront. A lot of different styles of decks. You see the Blood Artist, aristocrat style decks coming about, the life gain decks, which I feel like have always been, played a lot, but is maybe was more of a beginner deck, and now it's more of like a deck that you'll see running around quite frequently. So starting thoughts on Alchemy is pretty good. I know there's been a lot of complaints about the economy and digital stuff and whatnot, but this deck was fun. The matchup was fun, and I'm excited to play more Alchemy in the future. That's gonna do it for this video. If you guys are watching on Twitch, thank you all for being here. Remember, you can leave a good old follow there. And if you are watching on YouTube, please feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to what kind of content you want to see. And remember, you can find me here live at twitch.tv/roxora098. All right, guys, see you for the next video.